The 1970s was a transformative decade for the American automotive industry. While many legendary trucks were born during this era, not every pickup that rolled off the assembly line was destined for greatness. Some were plagued by reliability issues, others by questionable design choices, and a few simply couldn't keep up with the changing demands of truck buyers. Today, we're counting down the top 9 worst pickup trucks of the 1970s. These are vehicles that, for various reasons, failed to meet expectations and left their mark for all the wrong reasons. Before we dive into this list, if you're a fan of automotive history and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Now, let's get into our list. Number 9, 1975 to 1979 Chevrolet Love. Love stood for Light Utility Vehicle, and it was actually a rebadged Isuzu pickup that Chevrolet imported and sold in North America. The truck featured a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine producing 75 horsepower and 88 pound-foot of torque, paired with either a 4-speed manual or 3-speed automatic transmission. It had a payload capacity of around 1,400 pounds. The Love's placement on this list comes from several factors. First, the engine was severely underpowered, even for a compact truck. Acceleration was painfully slow, and highway merging was genuinely concerning. The truck struggled with any significant load, and towing capacity was minimal at best. The ride quality was harsh due to stiff suspension and minimal sound insulation. The interior was cramped and Spartan with uncomfortable seats and basic controls. Number 8, 1974 to 1979 Ford Courier. The Ford Courier was a rebadged Mazda B-Series truck that Ford imported and sold in North America. It came with a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine producing 74 horsepower and 92 pound-foot of torque. The transmission options were a 4-speed manual or 3-speed automatic. The truck had a payload capacity of approximately 1,000 pounds and featured a compact design. The Courier's problems were numerous. The engine was severely underpowered, even for a small truck. Highway driving was stressful, and any significant load made the truck dangerously slow. The 4-speed manual transmission was notchy and imprecise, while the automatic robbed what little power the engine produced. Build quality was inconsistent, with numerous reports of rust appearing within the first year of ownership. The body panels were thin, and the truck felt flimsy compared to American-built competitors. The interior was incredibly basic, with hard plastic surfaces, uncomfortable seats, and minimal insulation from road noise. Number 7, 1974 to 1980 Dodge D100. The mid-70s D100 represented Dodge's light-duty pickup offering during a challenging period for American automakers. Available engine options included a 225 cubic inch slant 6 producing 100 horsepower, a 318 cubic V8 with 150 horsepower, and larger V8 options up to the 440 cubic inch. The truck featured a traditional body-on-frame construction with leaf spring suspension. What landed this generation on our list wasn't catastrophic failure, but rather a combination of underwhelming factors. The emissions controls mandated in the mid-70s significantly reduced engine power across the board, making these trucks feel underpowered for their size. The interior quality was basic even by 1970s standards, with hard plastics and minimal comfort features. The dashboard was poorly laid out, and the seats offered little support for long drives. Number 6, 1977 to 1979 Ford F100. This generation of F100 represented Ford's light-duty offering during the transition to a new body style. Engine options included a 300 cubic inch inline 6 with 114 horsepower, a 302 cubic inch V8 with 133 horsepower, and larger V8 options including the 351 and 460 cubic inch engines. The truck featured traditional body-on-frame construction and came in various cab and bed configurations. The late 70s F100 makes this list primarily due to reliability concerns and the impact of emission controls on performance. These trucks were plagued by carburetor issues, with the complex emission control systems causing drivability problems, rough idling, stalling, and poor throttle response. The engines would often hesitate during acceleration, making merging onto highways a nerve-wracking experience. The electrical systems were problematic, with faulty ignition modules and alternator failures being common. Number 5. 1970 to 1975 Ford F250. This heavy-duty truck was Ford's workhorse during the early 70s. Engine options ranged from a 240 cubic inch inline-six producing 150 horsepower to various V8 options, including the 302, 360, 390, and 460 cubic inch engines. The truck featured heavy-duty suspension, Dana axles, and manual or automatic transmissions. These specific model years make our list due to a combination of design flaws and reliability issues. The front axle kingpins on four-wheel drive models wore out prematurely, requiring expensive rebuilds. The kingpin design was outdated even when new, and replacement was labor-intensive. The manual locking hubs on four-wheel drive models were prone to failure, often refusing to engage or disengage. The drum brakes used on these heavy-duty trucks were inadequate for the weight they carried. Brake fade was common when towing heavy loads or descending grades. Number 4. 1975 to 1976 Chevrolet C10. These trucks were part of Chevrolet's third-generation CK series and came with various engine options, including a 250 cubic inch inline-six producing 105 horsepower, a 292 cubic inch inline-six with 120 horsepower, a 350 cubic V8 with 145 horsepower, and a 454 cubic inch option. The 1975 and 1976 model years were particularly problematic for several reasons. These were the first years of catalytic converters on trucks, and the technology was not yet refined. The engines ran poorly, experienced frequent stalling, and the catalytic converters would often overheat or fail completely. The smell of sulfur from the converters was a constant complaint from owners. The fuel delivery systems were inconsistent, with carburetor problems being extremely common. Number 3. 1970 to 1972 International Harvester 1100D. The 1100D was International's light-duty pickup offering during the early 70s. It was available with various engine options, including a 232 cubic inch inline-six producing 140 horsepower, a 304 cubic inch V8 with 193 horsepower, and a 345 cubic inch V8 with 197 horsepower. The truck featured a traditional body-on-frame construction with leaf spring suspension front and rear. The 1100D's problems were extensive. The build quality was inconsistent at best. Panel gaps were uneven, doors often didn't close properly without significant force, and the tailgate alignment was frequently off from the factory. Water leaks were common, particularly around the windshield and door seals. The interior was uncomfortable and poorly designed. The seats offered minimal support and padding, making long trips exhausting. The materials used throughout the cabin were low quality, with vinyl that cracked quickly and thin carpeting that wore through to the floor pan. Number 2. 1978 to 1979 Dodge Lil Red Express. Now this one might surprise you because the Lil Red Express has a following among enthusiasts today. However, as a practical pickup truck during its time, it had significant shortcomings. The truck came with a 360 cubic inch V8 producing 225 horsepower in 1978, but this dropped to 195 horsepower in 1979 due to emission regulations. It featured a 3-speed automatic transmission, distinctive chrome exhaust stacks, gold pinstriping, and special decals. The problem with the Lil Red Express was that it tried to be a performance vehicle while maintaining pickup truck capability, and it succeeded at neither. The truck was expensive, priced significantly higher than standard D100 models. For the premium price, buyers got a truck that was compromised in almost every way. Fuel economy was dismal, averaging around 8 to 10 miles per gallon. In the late 70s, during energy crises and gas lines, this was a serious liability that made daily driving expensive. Number 1. 1973 to 1974 Chevrolet C20. And finally, at number 1, the worst pickup truck of the 1970s is the Chevrolet C20 from 1973 to 1974. These years specifically represent the absolute worst of what happened when emission regulations hit full force without adequate engineering solutions, combined with heavy-duty truck demands. The available engines included a 292 cubic inch inline-six producing 120 horsepower, and V8 options including the 350 cubic with 155 horsepower and the 454 cubic, all significantly detuned from previous years. The emission control systems on these trucks were a disaster. The early catalytic converters would fail frequently, sometimes within the first year. When they failed, engine performance dropped dramatically and the smell of sulfur was overwhelming. The EGR valves would stick, causing rough idle and stalling. The air injection pumps were noisy, unreliable, and robbed the engines of power that was desperately needed for a 3/4-ton truck.